Let's get started. Get behind it with the thing. And just like that. Well, maybe not just like that. Don't let it fall down if you can avoid it. And that's what the back side of that thing looks like. Meow. Take this thing, try it into that thing, take out that thing. You're going to do the same thing to this thing. Alright, take this thing again, or something similar too. Find the little dip here in the panel and start prying. It's going to sound bad. It's going to be good. Some of them are very, very hard to get out. There you go. You just keep going around until you get, there's 9 of them, till they all come loose. Okay, once you're in here, you're going to undo this thing. Then we're going to take 2 screws out of this, a screw here and screw here. Bada bing. Bada boom. You can see that thing just comes right out. Now comes the fun part, because if your speakers are factory, you might have won the lottery here and had the aluminum rivets. You're going to have to drill them out. There's 4 of them to get them out. So that's going to require a drill, and it's no big deal once you have your drill and drill bit. Okay, just drill it till the head of it comes off there. You're going to do that to all 4, and then when we get the speaker out, we're going to have to drill these some more, basically to push what's left of the rivet through that plastic piece. And we'll get the speaker mounted using some lag bolts, because it's about the only option you have on this kind of setup. Once you got all 4 of those guys drilled off, undo the old connection here and this whole deal. And look, it's paper, like thin as freak paper too. They spared no expense on this. I mean, they spent no expense on this. I can just give it a little bit of a yank here. If you gotta drill your rivets out a little more, you may have to, but that's that. So now we have to get the rest of these rivets out. So after you drill on them for a while, they're gonna pop through this plastic. So up there, so down there. Some may kind of get hung up here. Be careful, they're gonna be far-reeking hot after you get them drilled. But you want to drill them and get them almost to melt the plastic. It actually helps a little bit, because you don't want to break that plastic, because that is what's going to hold the new speaker in. And there's the back side of the rivets. Okay, a little before and after comparo. Here's the factory speakers, if you can read it there. We've got a nominal rating of 20 watts, if you can read that. We've got a maximum rating of 40 watts. We have an impedance of 4 ohms. The little Kenwoods I'm replacing them with are a max of 300. Impedance is 4 ohms, which is important to match. Most cars are 4 ohms. You got weird ones like that old Camaro over there that's a 2 ohm system. You need to make sure that matches. The difference here is quite drastic. Number one, the Kenwood's heavier, but like we talked about this paper here, and this is completely blown. And then you've got this, which is not blown. Not high-end stuff at all. It's $38 from Crutchfield for this. And then, okay, so there she is, all mounted in the Crutchfield bracket. And why is it mounted upside down? Because you got to kind of orient these deals here, the speaker connectors, with the hole in the bracket right there for the wires to pass through, and that needs to be towards the top, because that's the speaker connector right there, and you don't have a whole lot of room to work with on that little adapter they gave us. So now that this is in here, you'll notice that the mount screws that came with the speaker are pretty long. You're going to have to trim them off with something, because you go to try to put this in here, it's not going to fit. You're going to be frustrated, not, what the deuce. You're going to have to trim the ends of those screws off. So I'm going to use that to do it. Okay, now with those trimmed off, you would think we would be done and ready to mount this, and you're pretty close to being right. As you can see, it now fits much more better in there, and we start to get some alignment. There you can see the hole right through there. We're going to have to use some lag bolts to mount this in here. But having done the other side, I can tell you this tab right here, we're going to have to trim this off because it is butting up against this plastic part of the door here, the fiberglass. It's going to throw off the mounting down here. And you could just drill that out a little if you wanted to, but the less you have to drill into the car, the better off you're going to be. We're going to trim that tab. Okay, now we've got that tab trimmed off just so. And now we're going to use some lag bolts to mount the whole thing. And before you think that's overkill, I'm going to agree with you. You can see I'm got it the homeless despot there for 31 cents a piece. The holes left behind by those rivets are just large enough to where like a number 14 wood screw will not catch in there. And that's the largest wood screw that you can really get, at least at Home Depot, before you start moving into the lag bolts. There's no way, because of this lip, for you to put like a nut plate or something like that behind it, unless again you want to modify more of the door here, and I didn't. There's no way, because this is all enclosed, to get a nut on behind a machine screw or something. So you're really left with just lag bolts. So I'm using 5/16 by 1 inch, 5/16 by 1 inch lag screws, lag bolts, whatever you want to call them, and we'll go ahead and get it mounted up. So here's what you're looking at, the most ridiculous overkill mounting method of all time. Unless you can find a way to get behind this plastic, or you want to mess with nut plates or whatever, that's your solution. Okay, and then make sure your wires are coming up through that little hole, not pinched. Plug this thing into that thing. And then let's give it a test before we go ahead and put everything else back on. This is pretty much the job. Here we go. And we got tunes coming out of it. Better not play too much of that song, or YouTube will come after me, demonetize me, and I'll go down in a blaze of glory. Alright, so from here, I'm just going to finish tightening these up. Door panel is reverse of the removal, and that's it. Good luck with your upgrades. Crutchfield has no solution. I called them and spent 20 frustrating minutes on the phone with their tech support, only for them to tell me I was probably going to have to go to Home Depot and buy something. Yeah, no kidding. I'm asking that because the instructions say drill out the rivets, and then it just says remount the speaker. It gives you no provision, it gives you no guidance on that. This is not rocket science. I got it. It's just the fact that why did it take 20 minutes for the guy to say, yeah, just go to Home Depot? Bro.